All right. Good morning, everybody, and thanks for joining us here on our webinar on the Shadow Inventory Roadshow, New Jersey edition. Oops, there we go, Jersey style. We have a pretty full house. We had a little bit of a hiccup this morning with the internet, so thanks for everybody for popping back in here. And we're pretty excited. We had our first Shadow Inventory Roadshow back in August. Yeah, in August, and we had a full bus, great day. 3 days, 2 days of first day sitting in the classroom and kind of learning about note investing. Day two was out looking at some phenomenal assets. We covered about 350 miles, and saw somewhere around 22, 23 assets, I think, if I remember correctly. And then the third day, we're in the war room and we're actually putting offers together. So more on that later. So anyway, thanks for your time today. We'll kind of blast through this. It takes about 40, 45 minutes to go through it, and then I'll open it up to questions and answers. So please feel free to pop your questions up on the little screen in front of you, and then I'll get to them when we're done going through the presentation because we have a lot to cover here. First, a little bit about me. 25 years as a mortgage banker. I somewhat proudly say I helped originate a lot of this garbage paper that we're all taking advantage of, which which is okay. I'm okay with that. I've been a licensed real estate broker in the state of California since 1996. Been involved in about $3 billion in transactions through either real estate finance, residential and commercial, or real estate sales transactions. So point of putting that number out there is to show my experience with paper, which is what we're dealing with today, and that was well over 20,000 transactions. So from the paper side of things, just rest assured, I know paper, so I'm kind of familiar with that whole side of the business. I'm one of the co-founders of the American Home Recovery Fund, so we're going to see a few different names on here today, and we do a bunch of different things that all relate to paper, and it's all about helping homeowners stay in the homes, helping investors manage their portfolios with software that we use, which, again, I'm also the co-founder of Noteworks loan management platform that we put together. We'll talk a little bit about that after that as well. And also bus driver of the Roadshow. So if you've seen any of the videos of Scott Carson and myself going around, Scott and I enjoy getting out there and really, and again, this is what we call full contact note investing, getting down, getting dirty, getting out there and seeing the areas that we're buying these properties are at. Also a very proud veteran of Your America's Navy. That's my old ship, the USS Gary, and there's a picture of me with hair. Quite a few people never thought that I actually had hair. I've had those comments and they kind of hurt. But that's okay. So what we're going to cover today, we're going to cover today's opportunity in distressed debt. We're going to go through a couple of real case studies so you guys can see real deals that are happening and how they kind of play out to you as the investor or the lender's advantage. We're going to give you exit strategies, some new exit strategies for New Jersey vacant properties, which is new as of this past April, which a lot of people don't know about, but it creates a huge opportunity for note investing in New Jersey specifically. We're going to talk about the hardest hit funds. We're going to talk about note financing opportunities that have just come up that we're proudly rolled out with. We're going to talk more about the Shadow Inventory Roadshow. We're going to give you one amazing takeaway, and we're going to show you where you can get free houses. Normally, if I had a room full of people, I'd say show of hands how many people are interested in getting free houses, and of course, everybody raises their hand except for one person who's always skeptical. So most importantly, again, you guys all sit through a lot of webinars, attend a lot of conferences probably, and there's a lot of different ways to learn and get educated and see all these different angles. But it's real simple. As Nike says, just do it. It just takes one to start. You buy your first note, whether that's buying a note for $1,000 or $100,000. Just get into the game, start with your first deal, and then go from there. My partners and I started. We pulled together $25,000 of our own money, went out there and bought our first 3 notes for $25,000, and from there we've scaled that into multiple funds that we operate. Buying and selling distressed debt, and now also we're starting an REO fund. Again, that's something a little bit different, but again, starts with one, just do it. So we're talking about distressed debt. Most importantly, you need to figure out and identify what is your model. Is it cash flow? Is it getting the properties to do fix and flips, which that obviously is the angle here in New Jersey that we're going to talk about specifically today? Or is it getting the properties for landlording? We like thinking of ourselves as a bank, which we are right now, not a depository bank, but being a bank that we collect payments. We own mortgages. We collect payments from the borrowers, and we deal with the landlording, or I'm sorry, we deal with loan lording, not landlording. But there's a lot of people that love landlording, so that's okay too. Figure out what your model is and kind of go for it. What is the opportunity today? There's less than 400,000 REO assets available nationwide. While that might sound like a big number, that's really not. At the height of the market, there were literally millions of REOs out there. Everybody and their mother who was a real estate agent had a direct in with somebody that was getting REOs, and they were listing them and they were killing it. Now we're seeing a lot less REOs all over the place. It has kind of picked up a little bit more now as the banks are trying to get some of these assets off their books before the end of the year. But as a whole, REO market has really dried up, and I'm sure if any of you are involved in your local markets, you kind of see that. Conversely, there's between 6 and 9 million. Actually, I have to update this. There's actually 8.1 million delinquent mortgages, which just came out from Realty Track, and that's what is known as the shadow inventory. And again, we're at the perfect part of the year right now where shadow inventory, mark my words, you'll start seeing in the news. The shadow inventory is coming out. The shadow inventory is getting ready to be released because at the end of every year, at least what's perceived by the public, the banks are going to start selling off this shadow inventory to get it off their books before the end of the year. While that's somewhat true, they're not selling any real estate assets. They're selling the paper or the delinquent mortgages, which actually is the shadow inventory. So everybody's going to be calling their aunts, their sisters, their brothers, whatever. Hey, the shadow inventory is coming. Can you get me any of it? And guess what? They can't, because the hedge funds, private equity funds like myself, we're buying it and disposing of it in various different models. So again, that is a shadow inventory, 8.1 million defaulted mortgages, also 8.1 million defaulted and upside down mortgages. While it's improved a little bit here, in some markets like California specifically, New York, and Florida, a lot of what we call the negative equity is improving, but it's still, the majority of the country is still underwater. We've seen over the last few years, the banks have been making a massive move from selling REOs to selling the paper. Real important to understand. It's less liability to lawsuits for them. And we all see the news headlines. Ocwen settling a $16 billion fine lawsuit. B of A paying $16 billion. Chase paying $10 billion. That's billions with a B for all these bad foreclosures they've been doing and all this robo-signing and everything else. So the banks, while they've already written a lot of these losses off, now it makes sense for them to sell the paper at a discount to get them off the books and let somebody else take over the headache. So we're seeing that day in, day out right now. So what is the opportunity Jersey specific? Let's read through this. The New Jersey legislature recently created, and recently being back in April, an expedited foreclosure procedure statute. What's real important to understand before I read through that is that, and we've all heard, if we've been in the debt or real estate business in New York and New Jersey specifically, not a lot of people want to get involved in that market because it can take anywhere from 1 year to 5 years to foreclose on a property over there. Well, that's become an issue. You have a lot of these zombie homes, and very apropos for being Halloween today, we've got a lot of these zombie homes that are sitting there that have been vacant and moved out of 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, and they're still sitting there. So what that's doing is putting a blight on the communities, a blight on the neighborhoods. So the legislatures are actually doing the right things by getting an expedited foreclosure process for properties that are vacant. So under this statute, a lender may commence a summary action to foreclose upon a mortgage secured by residential real property where it is determined that the mortgage premises is vacant and abandoned. The lender can skip certain time-consuming steps, including but not limited to the notice to cure and request for default. So they've really taken easily from 6 months to 2 years out of the process for foreclosing on a vacant property in New Jersey. So again, new opportunity. What we like to do is take advantage of those opportunities as long as we can. What we've seen is that there's a lot of traditional fix and flip guys out there in New Jersey that can't find the right deals. Why wouldn't we buy these vacant loans, these vacant properties as mortgages, do that expedited foreclosure process, and then sell the property to the fix and flip guys? Great opportunity to make some great quick margins on that. We are routinely, and our attorney who we work with closely on this stuff, he was one of the first ones actually to find out about this new statute back in March when it was coming together. He's routinely getting foreclosures completed in 5 months, so that's phenomenal. Okay, show of hands. Hopefully, most of the hands have fingers on them. Who's interested in seeing how to get a 742% return on a single note investment? I'm sure everybody's hands are up right now. Okay, for our first case study. So, case study on a loan modification. This is irrelevant to New Jersey, but this is a deal that we did. Dana, Michelle, in Warren, Ohio. We paid $26,000 for their mortgage. The current value on the property was about $68,000, and they owed right about $68,000 too. Plus past due amounts were about $20,000, but not the typical note that we would buy, where it's typically, especially in Ohio, it could be two times. They could owe two times what the property's worth. In this case, they owed about what the property was worth, which they were actually in a much better situation than a lot of people that we deal with. The cool thing was, and we had gone out there, my partners and I. This is early on, and if we weren't able to get a hold of a homeowner, we have no problem going up to the door, knocking on the door if we're driving through that area, to make contact with them and hopefully introduce ourselves. So in this case, that was one of the deals we did. I knocked up. It was a rainy day, right about Thanksgiving time, so coming up on about a year now. Where pulled up to the house, and this is actually a pretty nice house out in Warren, Ohio, believe it or not, for $68,000. Knocked on the door. She came to the door and introduced myself, and of course I said, "Hi, I'm Mark. I'm your new lender." Big smile on my face. And she immediately said, "Uh-oh." And I said, "No, this is not an uh-oh moment. This is a hallelujah moment, because we know that you're behind. We want to help you kind of get back on your feet and kind of, and we have some options for you here. But it all starts with communication." So long story short, found out their problem. Husband was a pool maintenance guy. When the market blew up, his business went, down into the dirt, down into the bottom of the pool. Bad joke there. And they fell behind. So they fell behind. At this time, they were behind about $20,000 in payments. Once you're behind 2 months, the bank doesn't want anything less than payment up to date. So what was also pretty important is that this was her grandmother's house originally. So it's been in the family for 40 something years. They were very emotionally attached to the house. So they could afford the current payment. Their payment was only $606. Obviously they couldn't rent anything for less than that. So definitely motivated to, if we can get them rebooted, to stay in the house and keep making those payments again. So we put a plan together with them, introducing them to the hardest hit funds, which we'll show you here in a minute, on how that may or may not been able to help them. So I left it off with her: start making your payments now. We'll start accepting one payment at a time. Just start making your regular payments. We're going to have you guys apply for the hardest hit funds. If you qualify, that should be able to take care of all of your arrears, which is great. But if not, I'll just make it go away. I'll just make that $20,000 go away. Again, I paid $26,000. They owe $68,000. I've got a lot of wiggle room in there to do good and still make great profit. So we had a pretty good plan put together. So Michelle was pretty happy. And let me give you the economics of how the deal played out. So we collected 6 months of payments from them at $606. So we collected 36. Now remember, always in the back of your head, remember, I'm only into this deal for $26,000, $26,508. So we collected our 6 months of payments. They qualified for the hardest hit funds, which paid $25,000 per program for the reinstatement, which was like $21,000 and change. We took $3,400. They had past due property taxes for a few years. We paid that off with the rest of it, and then the state also paid the next 8 principal, interest, taxes, and insurance for them for the next 8 months. So we actually got a check from the state of Ohio for 32 grand. So now I've got income of 35, almost $36,000. I got my cash out of the deal, right? I'm into it for 26,000. So now I've got a performing loan. I'm sorry, a reperforming loan. We've gotten our cash out of it. They're up to date. The homeowner's happy as can be. They have a light. They have a big light at the end of the tunnel now, because they're back to being normal homeowners. Hold on, that just popped over. And there's some folks that just quick stop here. Some folks that have been logging in here. Again, sorry for the mess up with our internet this morning, but this is being recorded. So I'll be posting it afterwards, so you guys can catch the beginning of it if you missed the first 10 minutes or so, or probably 15 minutes or so. Again, thanks for popping in here. So we got 32,000 from hardest hit. We refinanced these guys out on an FHA 1023 loan, which is one of HUD's best programs designed for the distressed homeowner. So here's a homeowner that hadn't made a payment in over 3 years. We got them making payments again, and the way the program is set up, all they have to do is make three ledgered payments, and they qualify for this FHA loan. There's other qualifications: no bankruptcy in the last 12 months, whatever it may be. They have to have income qualify, so it's not just a blanket approval, but if they qualify, which these guys did, we got refinanced out for $57,762, which is important to understand. Now I paid 26, the balance was 68. After we applied all those past due payments, the $25,000, and then the payments that they fronted on them, that actually amortized their balance down to about $60,000. So it paid the balance down by about $8,000 by just reapplying all those payments, which were principal and interest. So now I got taken out at 96.5% of what the balance was on the loan. So I got cashed out at 57,763. Total received on this investment was $92,403. That's a 371% ROI in 6 months, or 742% annualized. Cha-ching is what we call that one. All right, New Jersey hardest hit funds. Good news, bad news. It's the New Jersey Homekeeper Program. They'll pay up to $48,000 for up to 24 months of assistance for the homeowner. So again, pay past due payments, unemployment benefits. If they're still unemployed, it'll make the payments for them. So for you as the lender, you're collecting that money. The bad news is new applications are temporarily on hold, but we're monitoring the situation closely. The entire hardest hit program, a hardest hit funds program, is set to expire on the end of 2017. So there's still a couple of years to take advantage of it for the states that still have it. Ohio, which we just talked about, Dana and Michelle, was very aggressive in helping their homeowners, so they actually just closed out the program over there. But again, there's 18. It started out as the 18 hardest hit states plus the District of Columbia. So there's still states depending on where you want to invest or where you're thinking about investing. And our model is to invest where we can take advantage of those programs. Again, you can see the power of tapping into our piece of TARP, as I like to put it. Okay, so we're talking about, I just gave you a home run over there. Are all deals home runs? Again, another case study here. This is a house in Sullivan, Indiana that we bought, and I love talking about this one because I paid, hopefully we have a good connection here. I paid $250 for a $15,000 mortgage on this house. Yes, that's $250. My bar tab last weekend was more than I paid for this mortgage, that paid for this first mortgage. And yes, this is a first mortgage, not a second mortgage. So these are the pictures right out of the original BPO. The picture on the left, it's the house in the middle. That's kind of a side view. And the picture on the right, that's a straight on view of the front of the house. That's what and this house, by the way, is worth about $20,000. Again, it's Sullivan, Indiana. This is a $20,000 house. Nice little. I think it's about 1,200 square foot house, by 3 bedrooms, whatever. What's hard for people to wrap their arms around, especially out here in California, or we have people from all over the country on this call. No matter wherever your market is, unless of course you're in this part of Indiana. Out here in California, we can't put a roof on a house for less than $20,000. Well, over here in Sullivan, you can buy a whole house for that. So saw that we could pick this up for $250. Didn't really think much of it. Saw the BPO, did my due diligence on the documents. We had a good mortgage. Everything looked good. And again, bought it not really caring about it, just because I wanted to say that, I bought a mortgage for $250. That's kind of a cool thing to say, especially when you're sitting around circles raising capital. So we bought this, put it on the shelf for a couple of months, and then when we decided, okay, it's time to start looking at this little one, what are we going to do with this? We said, okay, let's get a new BPO. So we ordered a new broker price opinion. Agent sends back a new BPO with that picture of the side. Now, going back to this, you can see on that picture on the left, right behind that window, right to the right of the window, you can see that some of that siding stripped out, which we really didn't see when we were first doing our analysis. Small analysis, but analysis nonetheless. So now we can see a little bit more of what happened. And it obviously got a little bit worse, you can see. Well, although that might be the window that's behind the bush, I can't tell. But anyway, so we get the BPO with the agent's notes, giant hole through the side of the house. Water got intruded into the house. The floors were separating from the walls. Total wipeout. I mean, this house looked like Superman came flying out of the side of it. Dun, dun, dun. So there he goes. Goodbye, Superman. But anyway, so now I'm sitting as an investor with 250 bucks plus the cost of a new BPO, another 100 bucks. I'm in this asset. I've got a house that I'd have to put probably $15,000 to $20,000 in to make it a house that's worth 15,000 to 20,000. As an investor, am I going to do that? Probably not. I'll probably just write off the 250 bucks and call it a day, and lesson learned on that one. Well, not to digress too much, but we came up with a pretty cool deal. Sitting having a cocktail with a good friend of mine who happened to be an investor in Fund One. Told him we've had this little hiccup, and I said, "What if? What if? What if I was able to get a corporate sponsor to come and write the check for 15,000 bucks? We fix the house up and we donate it to a disabled veteran in the community." He says, "You know what? I'd write that check tomorrow." So it made me think, and we started going down that path. And actually, we started putting together a foundation now because there's a lot of these, and this is a perfect example of a zombie home. There's a lot of these zombie homes, or what we call zeros, that are just going to sit there because no lender is really going to do anything with it. So we put it together to where our foundation will be able to start taking these properties. We're starting to build a network of corporate sponsors that'll start donating money to be able to kind of do the right thing with these communities and doing the right thing with a lot of these, wounded heroes that are in the communities that need help. So a cool little way for us to take lemons and turn it into lemonade. Just wanted to share that one with you. Okay, importance of lender insurance. This is another one of Mark's nuggets here. So we had a condo in Canal Winchester, which is a suburb of Columbus, Ohio. We purchased the loan. It was a non-performing loan. We purchased it in June 2013 for $7,200. Ended up the guy was already out, so we had to foreclose on the property. So we started the foreclosure, which was completed this last July. We got the keys on July 10th. We walked into this. Now, I did not walk into that. Our agent that we hired walked into that, and the stench of black mold growing on top of black mold on top of black mold was ridiculous. So the water got through this roof, and this was another one that was a total nightmare. I mean, total disaster. Now, this is a condo, so the walls outside, the association took care of, including the problem with the roof. On the inside, because we had a lender blanket policy. Oops, man, wrong way. Because of that, on August 10th, about a month later, we got a check for $36,000. So this was a deal that we ended up having. So now we got title of the property, that we paid $7,200 plus costs. We're probably into it for about $10,000. We got a check for $36,000 for, of course, a total write-off loss. We spent about $10,000 to get the property, down to the studs. We stripped out all the wallboard or the sheetrock, whatever it was, all the flooring, all the cabinets, stripped it all down to bare studs, and then we sold that asset, that REO now, for $20,000. So that, again, our insurance covered us where it needed to cover us, and we ended up making a nice, healthy profit on this one as well because of how it all played out. And again, we were able to get, in this case, we could have taken all that money, rehabbed it, and then turned around and sold it probably for a little bit more. But in this case, less impact. We had it cleaned out in about 2 weeks, and I think we sold this one to a local rehabber probably 2 weeks after that. So this is another cha-ching for us. How do we improve our successes? Door knocks, drive your assets, communicate, and RPC, right party contact. What we always say is that if we can talk to the homeowner, we could solve their problem. Whatever that problem is, if solving the problem means modifying their loan, great. If solving their problem means giving them an offer of a deed in lieu of foreclosure to get them out of an already troublesome problem because of bankruptcy, divorce, whatever it may be, we can solve a problem. Because even with a deed in lieu, we're negotiating away liens, judgments that are also affecting them. So we're helping them clean their credit by taking them out of the deal the right way. Door knocks. Again, we talked about me knocking on the doors. I was able to get a hold of Dana and Michelle, and there's numbers of more of them after that. Driving your assets. If you don't drive your assets, you don't get those opportunities. You don't have your finger on the pulse on what's happening in the communities that you're buying in. And communication, we talked about that. So show of hands, who wants to see how to get almost any borrower to call you within 24 hours, and that lies into the RPC, right, into right party contact. If I can get a hold of that homeowner, I can talk to them. I can definitely solve their problem, whatever that problem is. So this is guaranteed almost. The only way that this won't work is if they're dead. And this is Mark's gold nugget for the day. Here it is. We had my partner Raleigh. He was out in Dalton. Where's Dalton? Dalton, Illinois, and we had a property that we'd had for probably 8 months. Sent door knockers out there. We went by the property, knocked on the door, and we see somebody moving the shade, moving the blinds. We know they're there, but they just never answered the door, and they hadn't made a payment in 4 years on this deal. So Raleigh went out there. We printed out one of these forms, and the bottom part's cut off. It's just got some more mumbo jumbo, which I'll share with you guys later. But we put it up there, printed it out on an obnoxious orange sticker. He stuck it on the window. And let's read through this real quick. Mortgagee has caused on this day a personal inspection to be made of the premises. The inspection did not reveal that the mortgagors or persons lawfully claiming under the mortgagors are presently occupying or will occupy the premises. Therefore, mortgagee, being me, considers these premises abandoned. No need to read past that. So imagine you come home, you see this big orange or yellow sticker on your door or on your window, and it says that your lender considers the premises abandoned. Well, let me tell you what happened on this one in Dalton. Raleigh wasn't even around the corner yet. He called us up on his cell phone and says, I did it. I put the sticker up there. I got out of there. No, he's still on the phone, and all of a sudden the office phone rings in our operations department, and Dan answers the phone, and it ends up being the homeowner, and I walk over there, and I'm listening, and it's, who the put this sticker up, just going off, cussing up something terrible. So Dan's holding the phone away from his head, lets the guy go off a good, minute and a half. And then I take the phone from him. And then when the guy calmed down, it's like, Mr. Smith, we're so sorry. These agents that go out and put these letters and stickers on the house, they make mistakes. Unfortunately, sometimes they put the wrong sticker on your door. But while I got you on the phone, had him modified, making his payment 7 days later. So again, that turned into a conversation. I found out what his problem was, and I helped solve that problem. So again, if you can get them to talk to you, at least in our model, if I can get them to talk to me, I can solve their problem, whatever their problem is. So no need to even talk about what his problem was. It was just another sad story that came out of the mortgage apocalypse. So again, guaranteed, if somebody's living in the house, you will get a phone call on that. And this verbiage is on our Note.Guru website. We'll talk more about that later. You can just download a copy for yourself on that free of cost, our little gold nugget. So pretty cool stuff. Diversify. One of the most important things, other than one of the first slides we talked about with just do it. Take advantage of global opportunities, not just opportunities in your backyard. Out in California here, we have a lot of people with a lot of money that want to invest in non-performing notes. Unfortunately, and unless you're out here in California, you'd get this. They want to invest in non-performing notes west of the 5 freeway, which means Newport Beach, La Jolla, all the beach communities where, guess what, guys, there's none of that there. So, what we do is not as sexy as buying a non-performing note in Newport Beach. We're buying these little $250 notes in Sullivan, Indiana, or $26,000 notes in Warren Township, Ohio, or, Alabama, wherever it may be. There's phenomenal opportunities on smaller levels, right? We've got to do a lot of deals. Our returns are great, but to make the dollars, we have to do a lot of deals, but that just means a little bit more work, and we're not afraid of work. So open your eyes, look outside your comfort zone, which is why we're going to start talking about the Shadow Inventory Roadshow, how that gets you out of your comfort zone, and able to start looking in deals, that you normally wouldn't look at. Okay, so we also talked about free houses. These are 2 properties here. I took these photos. They're in Illinois, and they're boarded up, which they have to be. They're abandoned properties. But you can tell these 100-year-old, beautiful structures, beautiful architecture for just city houses. So we went out there looking at this opportunity to get all these free houses, and there's lots of them. The cities, people have just abandoned them. These are houses that used to at one time be worth $300,000, $400,000. Some of them might be 2-unit, 1-unit, 4-unit, whatever it may be. And because of the taxes and water bills and everything else, a lot of the existing homeowners have just abandoned them. So what the county's doing, or what Cook County is doing, is kind of giving these things away, letting investors come in, pick them up with knowing that they have to actually rehab them and put them back into economic service over there. So we're like, okay, this would be great. We got to go find out about this. Now, this is the importance of knowing where your paper is. So I'm out there, Mark's out there by himself, and there's an electric blue Ford Fusion rent-a-car driving around all these neighborhoods. And, it's a lower-end neighborhoods, as you would imagine. But I'm originally a Brooklyn kid, so I grew up in Brooklyn. Not too many things faze me, so I'm popping around all over the place driving. The cops are even looking at me like, what are you doing here? So anyway, I'm sitting in front of this house, actually the one on the right side there, and I'm taking the pictures of it, and then I look in my rearview mirror, and I see this. And it's about a half a dozen kids that they got on the front of the cop car, and they're arresting them, and they're doing all this kind of stuff. No shots fired or anything. And again, not that you don't see crime everywhere. This one happened to be in Lawndale, Illinois, which was ranked as the most dangerous city in America. So show of hands now, who would take these houses for free right now? Probably not too many of you. So again, the importance of knowing where your paper is. Myself sitting here in Newport Beach, Irvine, which is right next to Newport Beach. If there was an opportunity to take free houses, maybe I'm sitting there on my computer looking at Zillow, Google Earth, and not seeing what's going on in the communities. And then I would take those free houses, and then I'd be in a world of hurt on that. So again, that's one of the reasons we really like going out. And not that we have to look at every asset we're buying, but just being out there, knowing what's going on in the communities. And if I find a good area like Kokomo, Indiana, which I love, guess what? Driving around, we never, other than hearing the Beach Boys song, we never heard of Kokomo. So now I know Kokomo. We bought our first assets there. Now when I see stuff in Kokomo, because I know what's going on there, and Kokomo was a city that was number 2 right behind Detroit, Michigan, as the next city that was going to fall off the face of the earth because the auto industry had went belly up over there. So it's a community that went to the brink of destruction and now came back in a big way. So again, you find these things out being out there. So Shadow Inventory Roadshow, I'm going to talk a little bit about the Midwest edition that we did. The Midwest edition, woo! We fly into Chicago. We covered Chicago and Indianapolis and parts in between. So it's 3 days. We covered 708 miles. We visited 36 assets, and we had 40 offers submitted from brand new note investors. Again, by getting out there, driving that mileage, being there with us, with Scott Carson and myself, driving you around, showing you what's going on. Here's how we're looking at it, and some of those assets we bought as well also. But seeing how we're going through due diligence and all that, it gets you into that comfort zone of being able to actually become an investor at this point, buy your first, second, 10th note, whatever it may be. And also we've had people that have been investing in notes come on these trips too. Again, it's looking at it a whole different way, and you find new opportunities that way. So pretty cool. So day 1 and 2, at least this is on the Chicago one. The New Jersey one we'll talk about is a little bit different. I'll explain the difference. Day 1 and 2, we're out. We fly in on a Friday night into Chicago O'Hare. We hang out, have a little happy hour mixer on Friday night. Bus leaves first thing. We rent these little really cool Mercedes Sprinter vans. Has Wi-Fi, has big screen TV, so we're putting due diligence up or watching the Belmont Stakes, as Scott had up when we were cruising on that weekend. And we're going around. Again, we left Chicago, drove through northern Indiana, ended up about 10 o'clock at night down in Indianapolis, stayed at the hotel down there for that night. Then the next day, covered assets down in the Indy area, and then heading up on a northwest trajectory and back into Chicago. So 2 days of total, stopping at properties if they're vacant, going into the properties if we can. Some of them are left open, some of them aren't, but getting out and actually seeing what's going on with these properties. It's literally, you're getting a PhD in note investing in these 3 days. Day 3, welcome to the War Room. Start at 8:30. We start going through the assets visited, which sometimes are numerous, going through valuation checks, due diligence, formulating our indicative offers. And remember, you have the benefit of having all the available asset data several days before we depart. So the attendees get to go through seeing kind of which ones look more interesting to them than not, and then either confirming or changing those thoughts when we're out there on the trip. So again, really unique way of going through stuff, and it works. Obviously, it works. So we put this together, again, being my main day job is running private equity fund here and operating our acquisitions and dispositions. So why would I put this together to kind of, what people ask, why are you creating competition? Again, go back to one of the first slides. There's 8 million defaulted notes out there. I can't buy them all. I don't have the bandwidth to buy them all, obviously. And by educating people the right way, to buy these the right way, make their returns. We're building the self-feeding industry that's going to ultimately help pull America out of this toilet that we're still in. Although in your particular area, it might be a little bit better, but the country overall is still in a lot of trouble. So what we did is we said, let's create a business in a box. Again, we're selling assets. We're building a downstream of people that might buy assets from us. We can buy stuff together, with certain people. We'll joint venture with people. So we wanted to we said if we could spend 3 days with somebody, we get to know them pretty well. They get to know us pretty well. I'm just building more opportunities for us to be able to buy more assets. So we put together what we call our business in a box. We're giving you all the contacts of the note sellers that we're dealing with. We're giving you 12 plus exit strategies with analytics. Now that's important for you real estate guys. You buy a house, you buy real estate, you got 3 exits. You're going to live in it, you're going to rent it, you're going to sell it. Period. We got over 12 different exit strategies when you buy a note that this asset can go. We talk about all those things. We give you a Rolodex of all the service providers with updates. Again, even with all my experience, all the big numbers I threw out in the beginning, when we bought our first non-performing note, we sat here and said, okay, what do we do now? We didn't know who to use. We didn't know what services to use for this part of the industry. Who do we use to do BPOs, from 2,000 miles away? So we give you all that stuff with updates on who's doing good and who's not doing good, which that changes often in this business, depending on, how, head count changes, workflow, whatever it may be. So again, giving you all of that information so that you can come out the gate swinging, buying your first notes. There's no capital providers now, lenders that lend on NPLs. We kind of share that information with you. Again, I talked about the software that we built. We give you, we waive the setup fee for that, which is $350. So we're getting you on the software. So again, you can see how this is all playing into kind of a nice homogenous kind of circle that we've put together for ourselves. And again, on instances, if we like the way you're looking at stuff and we like assets, we will joint venture with the right people on these deals. We also rolled out financing for up to $1 million for your note purchases. So again, which could be a scary number for some people, especially if you're looking to buy your first note. But when you're ready to start buying pools, we'll finance that stuff. So again, we're putting together the business in the box to get you into the game tomorrow, not spending the first year figuring out what to do. We just kind of tied it together like that. And please don't take this as being that I'm your trainer, educator. We're not. That's what the Scott Carsons of the world do. They'll end up training you, telling you a lot more than I have the capability of doing from the analytics side of things. But we're giving you all the tools that you need to be able to get out there and actually transact. What's next? We do bi-weekly conference calls to keep everybody in touch. We might start moving that out to monthly now. We're getting a lot of people. So it'll probably be a monthly deal. And again, we're always available to answering questions and giving guidance that everybody needs. You'll be on our elite partner group that gets first look at all of our exclusive purchase opportunities. We get tapes that we look at all the time that we'll either buy completely or we'll look to buy a portion of them. So you'll be in that group that can buy. If you like pink houses in Tennessee, you can pull all the pink houses in Tennessee off of this list because that's not what I buy. So you're getting those kind of opportunities. Also, the availability of our seller financing and joint venture opportunities. Another short one here on Mike and Nick Bridges, who are Scott Carson's mastermind students on one of our Chicago roadshows. They bought a non-performing loan in Waukegan, Illinois, which is just outside of the Navy base up there, Naval Training Command, where I was many moons ago. They bought that loan for $17,500. Got to update that. It wasn't the last roadshow, but it was the roadshow in June. There was a short sale already in process on that property, unbeknownst to anybody. Short sale closed 1 week after they bought the note for $40,000. Show of hands, who wants to buy something for $17,500 and sell it for $40,000 a week later? I wish I knew that one before the roadshow. But again, they're not all like that, but there's a lot of gold nuggets out there, like all these things I'm telling you about. These aren't the only ones. We've got lots of these stories out there. The shadow lurks in many places. Again, the areas where we concentrate in are obviously New York, New Jersey, South Florida, Dallas. We were just at our roadshow in St. Louis, Kansas City, which was great. That was a whole nother eye opener for a great market. Chicago and India is our bread and butter. Carolinas, Atlanta, Memphis. It's all over the place. Quick video you can watch here real quick. It's just about 2 minutes long. So that was from one of our road shows in Chicago, and again, you could see, those were real houses. Those were assets we drove by. My favorite is the cemetery house. By the way, all these videos and more are at note.guru. That's the logo been seeing on the bottom of the whole presentation. That's just kind of the marketing site for us to kind of house all this stuff. Anything dealing with Roadshow, anything dealing with the videos, anything dealing with the education piece is all on there. So, we had the cemetery house, we had the Jumanji house, we had the hoarder house. This is stuff we get out there, we got to roll up our sleeves and get dirty and really see what's going on there. So it's pretty cool. It's a really cool way of kind of putting eyeballs on these assets. So again, we got New Jersey coming up here. Big Sopranos fan, so I kind of we coined this one. What do we coin it? Killing it in New Jersey, but not Sopranos style. So we got the New York, New Jersey show, which is November. Okay, got to change that. 15th to 17th. That's in a couple of weeks. And this one's done a little bit different. So it's $1,000 a person, coach fees included, and then you can bring a second person for $500. So $1,500 for two people. Most everybody that's been going on the New Jersey, New York stuff has been locals. So where we cover hotels on the ones that are in Chicago and Indy, there's no hotels typically needed on this. So this includes your business in a box, the Noteworks platform. We're very fortunate to have Scott Carson throw in. Anybody that attends our road shows gets comped into his 4-day note buying for dummies workshop, which is $800 by itself. Again, we work together on a lot of this stuff. If you do, space obviously is very limited. You can see we're not doing these giant buses. If you do need a room, you'll pay for the room extra, but we'll have discounted block if you do need the lodging. And the way that the New Jersey one goes, that's a little bit different. We do day one in the classroom. We'll have Adam Friedman, who's one of our attorneys, our number one attorney in the New Jersey market. Him and his team will come in and spend a good couple of hours walking us through what this opportunity is with the expedited foreclosure, how it's working, what counties, and actually some counties in New York he's having success getting them done quickly as well. So we'll get some great, free legal advice from one of the top foreclosure attorneys out there on how to really. And by the way, Adam's also a guy who buys notes, so he sees the opportunity himself. So again, you're getting it from the horse's mouth that's operating in the business. So that's day one. We'll do that. We'll wrap up probably about 4 o'clock, and then we'll hit the road Sunday morning. That's on Saturday. We'll hit the road Sunday morning, and on the last one, I think we covered again 22, 23 assets, 350 miles all day. Got back, went to a pretty cool pizza place for dinner. We pick up a nice dinner for you on that, and then day 3, which is Monday, is the same as the one that you saw before, where it's in the war room. We're analyzing, we're going through due diligence, and we're putting offers in on these assets. So again, for just a very nominal fee, we're getting you guys into the business. We're trying to make note buyers out of you. We're giving you all the tools that you need to get out there and start transacting business today. Okay, let me open this up to any questions. Let me see if I could do this without messing this up. Hold on. All right, pop your questions up there, guys. Okay, Okay, where are the assets? The assets are the assets are rollover. We don't know until about a week and a half before then. On the last one, we had assets in everywhere from Camden, New Jersey, which is down just outside of Philadelphia on the south side. We had stuff at the Jersey Shore. We had stuff in North Bergen County, which that's kind of the higher priced area. So we had stuff everywhere from assets you could buy anywhere from $6,000 to stuff that was just under $1 million. So it's all over the place, and you'll see that again, opportunities no matter what your pocketbook looks like, you'll be able to kind of find stuff decent stuff you can play with. We go through a lot of due diligence in the classroom. We'll go Jim and Donna Perno, who are out in the market there. They're my partners out in that market. They'll go through what the better areas are, help instruct on what those areas are, go through from those guys being node investors as well, how they look at deals, which they're ex fix and flip guys, so they look at stuff different than I do. So you get a real nice different palette, spread on how people are looking at assets differently when you're looking at a specific node asset. Come on, we got to ask more questions here. Questions. Really? Nobody else has questions? All right. Okay, so I'll stick on here for another minute or two, but let's put this up here as you guys come up with some potential questions. If you have more questions after this, you can reach me at mark@ahrfund.com. Again, this is recorded. We'll pop this up on YouTube and send a link out. For all the information, including the current schedule on where we'll be going and when, including any of the freebies we talked about, you get that at note.guru. Notice that that's not .com, it's just note.guru. And another quick little video here while you guys are thinking up your questions. Let me flip back, see if that was on there. Nope, still no questions. Man, this is a knowledgeable group that doesn't need help. This is the value that gets delivered at the Shadow Inventory Roadshow. Zillow, Google Earth, Trulia. Sometimes they're a little bit dated, as you can see on that picture. This is the Jumanji house. This is 9136 East 36th Street. This is Eden Lou. Nope, not performing. This is just an abandoned house, not performing note. Nobody's made contact with the folks. Nobody knows what the situation is on this. But again, we just pulled up here. It's a nice street. It could be a great investment. We're going to go poke around and see what it looks like around the back. So we'll see you at the next one. The next one's my favorite. I'm a little freaked out at this one. We're here at gotta be quiet. We're here at 1019 North Ridgeview Drive. It's the house right over there. That's the back of it. This is a deed in lieu foreclosure, vacant property. Although there are some close by occupants. It looks like the house has pretty good bones. We don't know what the inside looks like yet. One of the downsides is when the zombie apocalypse breaks out, you don't have a lot of room to get out of here. This could be pretty tough. Permanent tenants. But Paul has me a little bit freaked out, so I'm going to pass on a few of the jokes that I had for this one because I don't want to throw the universe out of spin. But I think he got a good house, although I don't know how this would play out. Maybe convert it to a funeral home. Could be. Anyway, we'll hopefully see it. Hopefully we get out of here and we see you at the next one. All right. Yeah, so that second one and that was totally not I never intended and didn't realize until about seeing this for the third time afterwards that I actually at the cemetery house said the house had good bones. Unbelievable. Anyway, got a question here. Are we looking at tapes today? Rose, nope, not looking at tapes today. Jasmine's got a tape. She might be getting with you on that. Get with her after that. Let's see. I got hands raised, but I don't know if that means a question. Thomas, I've got your hand raised, but I'm not seeing a question. Let me know if I'm missing something here. Anyway, that is it. So again, here we go. If you're ready to buy, do you pay with check or credit card? If you got a credit card big enough to cover some of these, you can pay by credit card. I'm just kidding. No, what we do is, obviously you look at the assets, do your due diligence, and then what we do, it's a little bit different than real estate than going through an escrow. Depending on who the seller is, like if I'm the seller of an asset, we have a mortgage loan sale agreement, which is about a 12-page contract. Since it obviously is different than traditional real estate, you'll sign and execute that. We'll sign and execute that, and then you wire us the funds. So checks will delay. We typically use wires, bank wires, and then what we do is we do what's called a handoff, which none of us service these loans ourselves. So we use outsourced servicing companies, which actually they're the legal, compliant, and licensed entities that do this. So we'll do a handoff to where we tell them that we've sold the loan to you, and now at that point you're the new note owner, and then you're setting up the account, which we help you do, of course, with them. And now you're the owner of record via what do you call it? Assignment of mortgage that's executed, and we send you all that obviously beforehand, so you see all that, and then you just real simple. You just wire the money. We send you the collateral file. Either to you or to your designated custodian, and we just do the handoff. Very simple transaction. Can you wholesale a note? Assignment of note. You can. With like us, you can. Most of the guys that I'm going to introduce you to, unless you've got it like ready, like sold. So in other words, hypothetically, you look at a tape of notes, you see 3 that you think you have a buyer for, you have them do their due diligence on it, and then before you actually lock it up with whoever's selling it, whether it be me or any of the hedge funds or private equity funds that you're buying from, you'll make sure that you have it pretty much under contract before you want to go ahead and do that. Because what you don't want to do, which I see too often in real estate, is people just put out a contract to be able to get something and then turn around and flip it. And then a lot of times those things don't end up closing. So on notes, we have to be a little bit more careful, but we can kind of help. We can help you walk you through that. We've had a couple of our attendees successfully wholesale a bunch of our stuff, which is great. So as long as we're hitting our price, we don't care what you're making on top of that, and we'll be very transparent. You'll be very transparent with us, and vice versa. This way, it just makes it go a lot easier. Hopefully that answers your question. All right. Okay, so I'll stick around here for another minute or so if there's any more questions. If not, this webinar is done. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys, and look forward to seeing you out in the shadows and on the road. So I'll stick around, leave this open.